Are you willing to get naked? To let yourself be seen for who you are, wherever you are? Are you willing to drop your need to be seen as an expert so you can let your audience experience all that makes you you? The world doesn't need more false leaders. The world craves more real, which is why it's crucial for you to rise up as a conscious leader, one who isn't afraid to be seen. In this edition of Thursday's Thought, you'll learn about the paradigm shift that is currently taking place in leadership, how to rise up as a conscious, a.k.a. naked leader, and how to create a deeper connection with your audience and attract aligned as fuck clients. If you are a purpose-driven leader who's seeking a coach and mentor to help you activate your voice and unleash your mission, I'm here. And I have a handful of openings for my one-on-one bootcamp. Apply to work with me today at rubyfremon.com/let's talk. The link is also in my show notes. And then when you apply, hit me up on social media and let me know that you applied. Now, it is time. Are you ready? Because it is time to get naked. Welcome to today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. I'm your host, Ruby Fremon, and I'm here as a catalyst for you, the new generation of thought leaders. Join me every week as I dive into raw and real conversations that will help you amplify your presence, influence, and impact. Hey, thought leaders, and welcome to this edition of Thursday's Thought. So I just got off a call with one of my dearest soul brothers, my shaman, my mentor, and we were talking about my integration over the past couple of weeks since I sat in a 3-day reset with Combo. And we were just talking about life and leadership in general. And what came up in this conversation was the concept of the naked teacher. And he shared this term to me after I was sharing with him how much I value transparency in my role as a leader. And he said, yes, the naked teacher, that's what we need. And so much, for those of you who have been following me for a while or listening to the podcast for a while, you must know by now that transparency is huge for me. I am not here to put myself on a pedestal, nor do I ever want you to place me on a pedestal. I'm here to be as real as humanly possible, because even though I am leading people on their own individual journeys, I myself am also on my individual journey. I'm not claiming to be anything else. I'm not claiming to be a master. I definitely have things that I'm really fucking good at. I definitely have a set of expertise, and I'm constantly sharpening my tools. I'm consistently doing the fucking work. And when I say the work, I mean the deep inner work. And I do this daily. And so never do I ever want to be placed on a pedestal by anyone, including you. And this is the paradigm shift that is part of the movement that I see myself leading in this world. For centuries, humanity has been led by this certain persona of a leader. The leader who preaches, the leader who stands up on a pedestal, the leader who speaks down to their collective, the leader who persuades their collective to be a certain way, to do a certain thing, the leader who projects their beliefs upon their society, the leader who is truly leading from an unconscious place, from a place of ego, from a place of, I know what's best, therefore you will listen to me. And we've seen this for centuries. We see it today. We see it in politics today. We see it in the school systems today. We see it in corporate America today. We see it. We experience it. We're living it. And yet, there is a paradigm shift on the horizon. In fact, it's not even on the horizon anymore. We're fucking in it. We're in this paradigm shift. It's happening. It's happening all around us. And it is something that I believe in with all of my being, which is why this is the foundation of the work that I do. Conscious leadership is what our human collective needs. It's time for us to make the shift from unconscious to conscious. It's time for us to start allowing ourselves to be led by more conscious leaders. Leaders who are bringing you into a movement. Leaders who are making you feel part of what they are creating. Leaders who do not put themselves on pedestals. The naked leaders. The leaders who are willing to be seen. And I don't mean visibility. I don't mean like getting millions of downloads on their podcast or millions of views on their YouTube channel or millions of followers, high engagement rates. I don't mean that. And if they have that, that's great, right? But that's not the point. The point is we as a collective, as human beings, and I'm certain that you've experienced this, we are craving real, especially in the digital era that we are now living in. We live in an age where technology makes it far too easy for us to manipulate how we're being seen. And we see people abusing these tools to manipulate how we're being seen online. From filters to editing captions to only showcasing what you choose to showcase. It is a way that it's a gift, right? And it's also a setback when we get caught up in over manipulating how we're being seen, when we try and control how we're being seen, because that's when we step into falsehood, false leadership. That's when we start to lead from our ego versus from our heart. That's when we start to be led by our ego versus by our cause. And we see this happening every single fucking day, and we get caught up in it. Trust me, I'll be the first to admit that I get caught up in this. I'm not ashamed of admitting that. And again, that's because I value transparency. I value authenticity. I value sharing the real fucking truth with you. I value being as real as humanly possible with you, to invite you to step into that realness within your own life, within your own leadership, within your own mission, your movement, your purpose, whatever it is that you are doing. Because again, the world doesn't need more false leaders. The world doesn't need more fake or more manipulation. We as a human collective are craving more real. We want to see people online and feel like we can connect to them, right? We want to work with coaches and mentors that we feel genuinely connected to. We want to step into movements that are being led by people who we feel like we can actually touch and see. People who allow themselves to be seen. This is what our humanity is craving. Fuck, this is what we are all craving as individuals, right? We want real. And yet we still get caught up in the manipulation because, again, technology makes it far, far too easy. You know, we have filters at our fingertips. We have the option to edit, delete, manipulate our captions. And we don't have cameras on us 24/7. So we only get to showcase what we choose to showcase. And for most people, the majority of people, this is our highlight reel. And so my invitation to you today is to be part of this paradigm shift that is currently taking place. If you feel called to lead, and if you're listening to my podcast, if you have been following me on social media, that means that there's something about transparency and authenticity that calls you in. So I invite you to step into that yourself. This is a paradigm shift for leaders, from deception to authenticity, from obscurity to transparency, and from preaching to being. We see deception, and this is what I mean by manipulation. Like, people are deceiving you online and offline. And that's not, deception isn't what's going to help move humanity forward. That doesn't even create connection. That creates a false connection at first, because people are trying to be what they think you want them to be. It's like someone selling to your pain points. It's deception. And it creates a temporary connection. But as you dive into that relationship or that connection, that friendship, whatever it is, you'll start to realize that there's no real connection here. It's like entering a relationship and the person you're in the relationship with has deceived you in some way. Once you find out about that deception, things are never going to be the same. Which is why I invite you to lead with authenticity, by showing up as you, by showing up in your realness, as you are, no matter where you are. You don't have to be perfect to lead. Fuck that. I mean, fuck perfection. There's nothing in this world that is perfect. Nothing. And yet everything in this world is perfect. Because everything in this world is perfect in its imperfection. And so why are we on this, why are we striving to show up as a perfect leader or a perfect human being? That is a hugely unattainable goal. Show up in your raw fucking truth, as you are, wherever you are, and allow yourself to be seen. And then there's obscurity. People are throwing obscurities at you left, right, and center, drawing away from what's really going on, distracting, mostly because they're afraid of facing their own fucking shadows, right? They're afraid of coming face to face with the shadows that lie within them, with the work that they need to do, because they're so preoccupied with trying to be seen as an expert. And again, maybe this is you. Hell, it's been me. I've definitely done this in the past. You just become fixated on, I need to be seen as an expert in this. I need to be seen as a leading quote unquote guru in my industry. And so you throw a bunch of obscurities out into the universe, and that's how you show up. Versus being transparent. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I started this business, this movement that I'm leading, through ultimate transparency. The whole reason I became a coach was when I was deep in the fucking shit in 2012, when I hit the lowest of all rock bottoms and I was rebuilding my life. I chose to hold myself accountable publicly on Tumblr through a blog. And I would share what I was going through, whether it was through poems, through what I called Rubyisms, which are now love punches, whatever it was, I would just share, and I would share from my heart. And it was very, very raw. It was kind of like a Dear Diary. And then one day I had the courage to share that on Facebook, where I had tons of followers because of the work that I used to do. I was a nightlife promoter. And slowly my inbox began to fill up with people who appreciated the transparency, because it created connection. because it somehow gave them permission, which they didn't really need, but they felt like it gave them permission to also be transparent with where they were at. Transparency is like removing the blanket and just letting yourself be seen, no matter what you're going through. It's about admitting that you don't know everything instead of letting your ego lead by saying, I know everything. I'm the expert in this. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm the first one to say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing every single day. I'm just doing my best. I don't know it all, and I don't ever want to claim to know it all. I'm not perfect. I'm going through my shit. And I am still here leading my movement. That's transparency. And then the preaching bit. Oh, okay. I cannot stand the preaching bit. And I always like to offer a visual for the difference between preaching and being. And the visual is this. Imagine a leader standing on a pedestal with a megaphone. And they're speaking through that megaphone down at their audience. That is preaching. And that is what a lot of people are fucking doing. It's the I'm better than you because energy. I'm better than you because I've done all this work. I'm better than you because I've read all these books. I'm better than you because I've invested all this money in myself. And so on and so on and so on. It's that energy. Now, being, this is the visual for being. It's a crowded room. And the leader is standing in the middle of that room, surrounded by people. And just standing there, grounded, chin up, back straight, shoulders down. It's very welcoming. It's very attractive. It makes people want to come to you. It's opening. It's a willingness to be with and be amongst everyone because you understand that I am you and you are me. It's about not having to say anything because you are being your entire message. You are living your fucking truth. You are the embodiment of your purpose, of your mission, of your cause. People just have to be in your energy to experience that. No words need to be exchanged. That is the difference between preaching and being. And that is part of the paradigm shift that we are stepping into as leaders. And you can start to step into this today. It's those three things I mentioned: authenticity, transparency, and being. Authenticity, just being real, being you. Transparency, letting down your guard and your masks and allowing yourself to be seen. And being, so doing the real fucking inner work to be the epitome of your message, of your purpose, of your vision. So that you're not just preaching down to people from a place of incongruency. This is the paradigm shift. And this is a shift that you can begin to embark on today. In fact, you can be this today. You can create that shift right now through authenticity, transparency, and being in everything that you share online, in how you show up offline, right? Because the world isn't just online, it's offline too. And this shift, I promise you, this shift will bring more aligned people into your movement. It will bring more aligned people into your orbit as friends, as brothers and sisters, as your soul family, as your clients, as your customers. because you're letting them experience who you truly fucking are. And you're being the fullest expression of the work that you do. Because the world doesn't need more unconscious leaders. The world doesn't need more people preaching from this place of false leadership. The world doesn't need more people standing on their fucking pedestals, preaching down at you, telling you that in order to be where they're at, you need to be good enough to do the X, Y, and Z. No. The paradigm shift for leaders is authenticity, transparency, and being. It's about understanding that we're all on the same fucking journey, because we all are. We're just at different points in our journeys. So it's about having compassion for everyone, no matter where they're at. It's about being able to see everyone for where they're at and honoring everyone for where they're at, not looking down at them for where they're at. So if you are here to lead, which I'm assuming you are because you're listening to this podcast, step into this paradigm shift today. Make a vow to yourself, to your mission, to your people, to show up as authentic as possible, to show up as transparent as possible, and to truly be your message, your mission, your vision, your purpose. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Thursday's Thought on Today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. If you dig this episode, please share it with a friend. Okay, I would love to get more listeners onto this podcast, the guests that I bring in, the content that is being shared. I'm asking for your support in spreading the movement. If you are a part of this movement, help spread the movement. Share it with a friend, share it on your social media, blast this podcast episode out, and please be sure to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. I so appreciate this. Now, if you are a purpose-driven leader who's seeking a coach or mentor to help you activate your voice and unleash your mission, I have a handful of openings for my one-on-one boot camp. So if this interests you and you're ready to do this work now, apply to work with me today at rubyfremont.com/let's talk. The link will also be in the show notes. And then hit me up on social media and let me know that you applied. If you have any questions about today's episode or you just want to say what's up, please reach out to me on social media. My handle is @IamRuby. I love hearing from you, so please don't hesitate to reach out. And yes, you will hear back from me, not a bot or an assistant. Make sure you check back on Monday for a brand new episode of Today's Thought Leader featuring the queen of content creation herself, Rebecca Ives Rubin. If you are interested in creating magnetic content that will bring ideal clients, customers, people, audience into your orbit, I highly, highly recommend that you tune into this episode. Thank you so much for being here. I honor you. I appreciate you. I see you because I am you. Thank you.